Mheshimiwa Rais, mimi ndio Sifuna. Ukiangalia ngoja kwanza. Ukiangalia hapa mbele huyu muungwana amelala, amefunikwa na bendera ya chama cha ODM. Nataka nikuambie.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want us to finish this once and for all. I want to assume we are in 2027 and you are in that polling booth and IBC provides you with a ballot paper. And in that ballot paper, we have two presidential candidates, William Ruto and his running mate, who is Kindiki, and another one, Edwin Sifuna, or Kalonzo Musyoka, with either of them as the running mate. Which ticket would you vote for? Please, I want to read your comments below, who you'd vote for. Because yesterday, Mizani Africa conducted some opinion polls online. This one here. And the results are actually shocking. If elections were held and then there is Kalonzo and Sifuna and Ruto and Kindiki, the Kalonzo Sifuna ticket would get 72% of the votes. William Ruto and Kindiki would get 28% of the votes. That would be first round win for the duo. But can this online vote translate to the actual votes? That's exactly what I want us to try and figure out here. Because you all remember that in 2024, Kalonzo Musyoka made this statement about Edwin Sifuna.
Nimekuwa kwa bunge miaka mingi. Nilikuwa na ango ya Sifuna. Lakini nimewatch huyu kijana, wacha nimwite hivi. Kama kuna jasiri Kenya hii ni huyu kijana senata wenu. Ana ujasiri, haogopi. He is a communicator. Kwa mambo ya uongozi, ndugu zangu. If the time comes na mimi niwe katika mahali naweza kuchagua waziri wa mambo ya nje, that will be Edwin Sifuna. Asisemi ni lini, he is most qualified because I know kwanza yeye anaelewa na sheria. Sifuna zindi huyu. Tena huyu Sifuna, let me be honest with you, I'll say this today, Mheshimiwa. Whatever it is huyu jamaa atataka, Nairobi hii, Kenya hii, apatiwe because he's Edwin. Na sijui haja niambia anataka nini, whatever it is he wants.
And as we speak, Edwin Sifuna has emerged as a very strong presidential candidate. As a matter of fact, most Kenyans, and that's why I want to read your answers below, who between Sifuna and Kalonzo should be the presidential candidate. As we speak, Edwin Sifuna is very strong as a potential running mate. As we speak, Edwin Sifuna is likely to run for the presidency. He's just still monitoring the situation.
Wanatuambia mnatuchocha, hamuna kura nyinyi. Kama uko na kura, weka mkono wako juu. Weka mkono wako juu. Haya, na hii kikosi ambaye iko hapa, mnaona hiyo lori hapo juu? Hiyo lori ya Linda Mwananchi imeandikwa lindamwananchi.com. Tunataka uingie hapo useme mimi ndio Sifuna. Ndio tujue tuko wangapi. Kuna namba tunangoja ifike. Kuna namba tunangoja ifike pale kwa lindamwananchi.com. Alafu tutangaze.
Hii wave ya Sifuna.
Kwa hivyo
itasaidia chochote opposition?
Unajua Sifuna mimi vile naona, ningependa tujipee muda tuone
jinsi ambavyo itakuwa.
Kwa sababu ukiangalia ataweza kuwa anakimbizana na Simba the Fort kwa sababu ya hiyo ya kufukuzwa kwa ODM. Kwa hivyo lazima tuangalie miezi miwili tuone kama
atakuwa na hiyo
wave. Yes. Ama ni kwa sababu amefukuzwa.
Wakenya unajua wanaweza kukudanganya wakati mwingine.
Yes. And they like that kind of sympathy.
Wakenya mko wapi? Mumenidanganya. Nimemaliza.
No, I thought that you were
sekunde moja.
Yeah, sekunde moja is that Ruto cannot afford to abandon Kindiki because Kindiki is a very intelligent man and a very organized man and who can give you peace to work.
About intelligence tunajua.
Yes.
Hiyo nao ni ukweli, ni professor.
You can even advise you to get votes.
Lakini Mheshimiwa Makali anasema ni
But can that ticket win? Most Kenyans believe that it's easy to defeat Ruto. But there are two challenges. The first challenge is he might not have a serious challenger. That if you give Ruto Kalonzo as the opponent, he will crush Kalonzo very early in the morning. Most people believe so. And that if you give him Sifuna, they believe that Kalonzo will bolt out, and therefore that ticket would collapse. And also, the second fear is that Ruto, as the president, can easily defeat these guys because he defeated Raila and Uhuru. Raila had the people, Uhuru had the deep state. By that time, William Ruto was kind of an outsider, but he still defeated them. So most people fear that Ruto will still become the president, even if it's through rigging. And that's why this statement by Babu Owino is significant.
So, Professor, hapa mbele kutakuwa ni moto. We are not going to joke, we are not going to beg anybody. We are going to tell them, vote for me, I will work. This is a contract.
And nobody's going to steal the election.
This is a contract. You know, Baba was a Baba. Baba was a good man.
Yes.
His elections were stolen severally, he just let it go. You steal our election, you find us sleeping in State House. We will not joke with people, Professor.
You're not
Steal
allowed.
our elections, find us next to the bed yako tumetoa nje ya wananchi.
Wewe uko Bomas unajitangaza na nyinyi mko?
My friend, Professor, you don't even have kujitangaza. Go to State House. What is the distance between Bomas and State House? Take people to State House.
So long as you have
let
won.
People put you there in State House. See, that is where you belong because you've won elections. Hii upuzi ati one person IBC chair ati now determines who becomes the president.
Yes.
Ignore that. Go and live in State House. Nyinyi hamtatupeleka State House. Mtatupeleka. See, the power belongs to the people. Article 1.
Yes. We the people.
Professor. This things have happened everywhere.
We must come to the end, but before we come to the end.
So I want us to talk about this Kalonzo Sifuna or Sifuna Kalonzo ticket very briefly. Just ask a few questions. Before we do that, in case you're watching this channel for the first time, please take a second or two, click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support, because without the support, this channel cannot be where it is. Ladies and gentlemen, let me dive in. Ladies and gentlemen, let me dive in. The first question which I want to ask, can Sifuna Kalonzo ticket defeat William Ruto in 2027? Can that ticket really defeat Ruto? Let us face some of the realities. The first reality is that for that ticket to defeat William Ruto, the mountain must fully back that ticket. The Luhya nation must fully back that ticket. The Gusii must fully back that ticket. And of course, Ukambani is sorted if the candidate would be Kalonzo Musyoka. But the question is, can William Ruto allow that ticket just to operate like that without a fight? Several things will also determine whether this ticket can work. One of them is the turnout. Will the mountain turn out in their large numbers to send William Ruto home? Because previously, one of the things which used to motivate the mountain to turn up in large numbers was Raila Odinga. They were turning up to stop Raila. Now Raila Odinga is not there. Can they really stand up very early in the morning to go and stop William Ruto? What will motivate the Luhya nation to vote for Kalonzo if Sifuna is just a running mate? And assuming Sifuna is given the ticket, what do you think will motivate the Kamba nation to back that ticket? Because for me, I'm more worried in the opposition about Kalonzo, because Kalonzo must be on the ballot, whichever way you look at it. But if Kalonzo will be on the ballot, will the Luhya nation back him? Because for the Luhya nation, they've identified Sifuna as the presidential candidate. So all those factors will be at play. And number two, who then should be? And my second question is, who then should be the presidential candidate in the opposition? Who? Should that candidate be Sifuna, or should that candidate be Kalonzo? Or will they break and have a compromise candidate in the name of, say, Fred Okengo Matiang'i. So those are some of the things they will have to be asking themselves and finding solutions and answers to. Because even Edwin Sifuna himself acknowledged that William Ruto is not a pushover. They are facing a serious and a shrewd political operator in the name of William Ruto. Very important. And the third question is, what role will Fred Matiang'i play? Because let's say the opposition finally agrees that, okay, we are backing Kalonzo being the senior most, and then Sifuna, because you are coming from ODM, the major party, and of course you proved yourself, we are going to have you as the running mate to win the support of the GNCs. Let's assume they settle on that. What role will then Fred Matiang'i play? Because as we speak, William Ruto is camping in Kisii and is going to be there for like 4 good days. And the reception so far for the president is very good in Kisii. In a situation where Matiang'i is not a presidential candidate. You have Ruto, you have Kisii. Matiang'i is not a presidential candidate. What role will Fred Matiang'i play? Because Fred Matiang'i, if you are to take Kalonzo and Matiang'i in the mountain, there's a high chance that the mountain will vote for Fred Matiang'i. Which means, if he's out of the ticket, there's a role which he must play. Can you tell me this particular role which will persuade the Kisiis to vote for Fred Matiang'i? Very important question. But the elephant in the room is protecting the votes. That's the most important thing. The other day, Edwin Sifuna formed or launched his website. And that website has been a bit slow. By the time Sifuna talked about it the other time, I think 40-something thousand people had actually registered, which was not what they expected. They had expected, like right now, 2 million people. But Edwin Sifuna said something which made sense. That out of those 42,000 people have registered, it means if Kenyans were to go to vote today, they can actually manage to get agents to send to all the polling stations in the country. So for this team to manage to protect the votes, first thing they'll have to do is they'll have to have enough money. We are talking of how many agents, polling stations in Kenya. They are slightly over 40-something. They are projected to be 50-something thousand. If you are to have agents, that would mean minimum of 3,000 per day, giving them 1,000 a day before the election, on the election day, and on the next day, 3,000. If you are to just give them 1,000. And that's never the case. So will they be able to protect the votes? Will they be able to really produce agents across the country? Raila Odinga had that ability because of the way he structured ODM party. ODM party had structures from the polling stations. In fact, in the last election, ODM was just, or Raila Odinga for that matter, was just played by Uhuru Kenyatta. Because Uhuru wanted to use the system which failed. Can you say that Wiper as a political party in my village can produce agents? In the how many polling stations in my village? There is those several polling stations. Because I've not met any Wiper leader from my village in Nyakachi. Sifuna can use or can leverage on the ODM structure because he was an ODM SG. But the truth is, can they manage to protect the votes? Babu spoke, but is it just easy to go and sleep at State House as you wait for the results? It's not easy. And importantly, the Gen Z factor, because the Gen Zs are going to be the determining factor. Will the Gen Zs in Kenya turn out to vote for this ticket? Or do we conclude that the Luo Gen Zs will just go with the Luos? The Kikuyu Gen Zs will just go with the Kikuyu Gen Zs? Because there's always been this narrative that the Gen Zs are non-tribal, which is not the case. The other day, we witnessed when the Tuko Kadi guy, founder, Ademba, was being called, he said, okay, this Tuko Kadi is not about Gachagua, but he was reminded that, remember, you are a Luo. Why do you think he was being remanded like that? Because most Luos are in broad-based government. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us wait and see. But I think this ticket is the biggest threat to William Ruto. And of course, they are also a threat to themselves. Because if they can't hold, then they can't have a chance. Until next time, this is Makwiny. Bye-bye.